Long distance relationships are like, the thing about them is they're gonna fail or they're gonna succeed. And both of these things are dramatic, because if you break up in a long distance relationship, it's like your daily life didn't change at all, but you have this secret pain because nobody else could see the relationship. Nobody else was a part of the relationship. It's not like your friends were really friends with your partner. It's not like your partner was going to the same coffee shops as you. It's not like any part of your life can show your partner. So your life just looks the same, but you're in deep pain. If the long distance relationship succeeds, it's also very dramatic, because it means you guys have overcome an incredible hurdle. Somebody has moved and your lives are completely different than they were. And I think something about a long distance relationship that people in normal distance relationships have a difficult time empathizing with or understanding is you don't really get to date. Like, you're dating, but you're not dating. It's really hard, it's really painful, it's really difficult, and it's not hopeless. So this video is 5 things that I intensely prioritized so that I could overcome the distance of my long distance relationship and have my happy ending, which is actually just the next chapter. It's like where the relationship actually begins. My husband and I met 2 years before we started our relationship, and we had one of the most romantic meeting experiences that I've ever even heard. We literally met in the shadow of the Duomo in Florence, Italy, walking on the street. I was 21 years old. This is very young, and I was not looking for a man, okay? I knew that I wasn't ready. I knew that a long distance relationship was going to demand way too much from me that I was not equipped to give. So I told him that we would have to wait, and I wasn't ready to date. And we said goodbye. I went off into my life, he went off into his, he got his master's, I graduated with my bachelor's, I did a year of experience in my field. We would occasionally chit chat online, but I was really focused on myself and who I was. And I had big questions in life. I wanted to know what the meaning of life was. I wanted to know what my purpose was. I had things I needed to figure out internally, and I could not give that space to this relationship. I encourage you, if you're in a long distance relationship or you're considering a long distance relationship, really take a zoom out look and ask yourself, do you actually want to be? Is this actually the person for you that you are ready to be this obsessed about? Because long distance relationships make the back of your brain just obsessed with this person. Are you ready? Do you know what you want? Do you know who you are? Have you grounded down your worldviews? Do you have in mind what kind of life you want? Not do your guys' visions connect. First, is your vision set? Do you have you figured out before you tie yourself to someone that you don't even get the opportunity to observe and interact with in daily motion actions? A huge boundary that I set was that I was not going to do a long distance relationship for a casual relationship. The relationship had to be very serious. I believed he was the one, he believed I was the one, so let's call it what it is. And I told him that I wanted to get married. I told him that I wanted to aim toward marriage, and I wanted to sanctify this relationship and really protect it, because long distance relationship without understanding how serious the relationship is almost like, what's the point? What's the point of dating somebody long distance and going through all of that pain if that's not your person who you're looking to settle down with long term? And I was not willing to put forth that effort, pain, and time in my life for someone who wasn't going to end up being my husband. And I know that's really intense, but I do believe in part it created the boundary around our relationship that got it to where it is now. So pretty much the day we started dating, we went and bought an engagement ring, and my husband proposed to me. And then I left, and we did a almost year-long relationship, long distance, engaged. So we were not dating long distance, we were engaged long distance. And I really think that this helped us target our goals. That's what I wanted. I'm not saying this is what you need to want, I'm not saying this is what you need to do, but this is what I intensely prioritized. I was not gonna give that time and effort towards someone who wasn't going to be my husband. I think that a long distance relationship that doesn't have mutual effort toward closing the long distance is like torture. That's so painful, because it was so painful to be in a long distance just for the year. I missed him more every single day. And so I cannot imagine doing that and not having active parties working toward closing the distance. And if that's not an available thing, if closing the distance isn't available to you and your partner, one, I would encourage you to question, what could you do to close the distance? Where could compromise happen? If neither one of you is willing to give to close that distance in the next 6 months to a year, is it the right relationship? Is it the right time? Is it the right person? Is it the right place in life? Like literal place. Like if you're not willing to move to where your partner is to close that distance, or you're not willing to help get your partner to you, why are you dating? Do you know what I'm saying? And these are hard questions, but I think they're important questions because, life is really short. Long distance relationships are really hard. It's got to be the right person. I was doing so many things and focused on so many things to develop my skills, my talents, my passions, so that I wasn't sitting here in limbo. I wasn't just sitting here stagnant, waiting and waiting. And I also wasn't getting any type of this is gonna sound weird to say, but I just wanna speak to the truth of it. No self-destructive behavior. No going out and wallowing, none of this. Productive, future-oriented behavior. Because someday I was gonna leave my country and someday I was gonna go be with him, and I needed to gain all of the skills, the talents, perspective, understanding that I could get, because once I left my home, all of my external resources, gone. So I really focused on refining my skills, my talents, my passions, these things. The very last thing that I really intensely prioritized was leaning into my faith and into hope and optimism. It's really easy to feel depressed. It's really easy to get pessimistic. It's really easy, especially if you're doing the American visa process. It's so easy to feel like this is never ending, this is never gonna stop, this is never gonna change, but that's not gonna help you build up your internal well of thriving and optimism and kindness and love and compassion. I didn't want to come over here and be drained. I wanted to come over here and be grounded. So I really leaned into my faith. I leaned into my prayer life, my relationship with God and such, and I leaned into having hope and remembering that this is a season and this too shall pass, and that everything that I do in this season is going to build me up for the next one. And I really do believe that. When I moved to Turkey, it was very, very difficult for me to transition. All of that time I spent leaning into my faith and leaning into hope helped build a foundation of resiliency in me for when I got here. The distance period in a long distance relationship is a season. It's a season of both partners needing to mutually invest in creating the best possible outcome for the relationship, both externally with resources for the partner who's going to receive the other, and also internally for the resources of the partner that is coming. Both people need to have internal resources, but when you move countries for your partner, you do not have external resources outside of what they can provide, the connections they can make, the people they know. So I really dived into my faith, my identity, my belief, my purpose, kept myself busy, and we closed that distance. Those are the 5 things that I intensely prioritized, and I hope by me speaking on these things and sharing these things that it helps you in your decision of your long-term relationship, because it's hard. And I don't think that a lot of people really can even understand how hard it is. It is like a constant ache in your heart and living in 2 places at one time, because while on the one hand you're here in your environment doing your thing, waiting for your opportunity to be connected, on the other hand, your mind is constantly projecting into the future and wanting to know what can be. It's so hard to be in the present moment in a long distance relationship. So we have to be conscious of that. We have to be aware. We have to be a little bit sharper about ourselves, because we don't really have the freedom to just mindlessly meander through that season if we want the outcome to be really, really good. So now I'm filming this video to you from my studio inside of my apartment in Turkey. My husband's in the other room working in his studio. We're both artists, and we've been married for 3 years, and it has been so fulfilling and worth the intense time of long distance. Please like and subscribe, please drop a comment, just help me boost my channel, help me grow. If you want to, there's no pressure. My name is Kaylee, and if you'd like to check out what else I have on my channel, such as advice for how to thrive as a foreigner, how to make friends as a foreigner, and a recent video of ways that Turkish culture has changed me for the positive and kind of for the negative too. And there's a reality to that. Moving overseas is not just rainbows and butterflies, like so many influencers make it. It deeply rocks you and deeply challenges you all the way to the foundations of who you are, what you believe, and how you see the world. So, whoa, that's a bit deep. That's all for that. I'll see you next time. We're signing off. Thank you so much. Goodbye.